All right, let's talk about how humanity gets things done. And I mean everything from building the pyramids to planning a picnic. I know, it sounds a little absurd, but believe it or not, they share a secret ingredient. And to understand it, we have to start with a really basic question. What exactly is a project? Seriously, just think about that for a second. What could possibly connect one of the greatest engineering marvels of the ancient world with getting some sandwiches and a blanket to your local park? It feels like a riddle, right? But the answer actually reveals something fundamental about how we turn any idea into reality. I mean, think about the sheer scale of human achievement for a moment. Curing diseases, exploring space, and yup, building those pyramids. They all share the exact same DNA as that simple picnic. They all began as a project. So, the answer to our little mystery? They are all projects. That's the common thread. Building the International Space Station and building a dog kennel, expanding a business into a whole new country, and yes, even just struggling to assemble some IKEA furniture. This concept applies to every single scale of ambition, from the absolutely monumental to the refreshingly mundane. Okay, so if a picnic and a pyramid are both projects, there's gotta be a rule book, right? Well, it turns out there is. There's a formal definition that separates a true project from just any other kind of work. So let's unpack that. So here it is, the official definition from the world of project management. A project is a complex, non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, budget, resources, and specifications. Now that's a mouthful, but every single word in that sentence is doing some heavy lifting. Non-routine, that means it's not your day-to-day grind. One time, it has a clear end, and limited is the key. That's the constraint that forces you to actually plan. And that definition gives us 5 fundamental rules. If what you're doing ticks all these boxes, it's a project. First, it needs a defined lifespan, a clear start and a definite end. Second, a well-defined objective. You have to know exactly what done looks like. Third, it almost always involves several disciplines, bringing different people or skills together. And finally, it has a distinct life cycle and specific limits on time, cost, and what you have to deliver. It's not supposed to be an endless effort. Let's just zoom in on that first rule for a second. A defined lifespan. This is maybe the most important thing that makes a project different from just work. It can't go on forever. It has these clear stages. You plan it, you do it, and then you close it out. You deliver the results, and you're done. A definite beginning and a definite end. You know, one of the best ways to really understand something is to figure out what it isn't. So let's put a project up against its opposite, routine, day-to-day work. So here's the core difference. Let's say you're launching a brand new website for a company. That's a project. It's a temporary, one-time effort to create something totally new. But what about doing the daily backups and content updates on that same website? That's routine work. It's an ongoing, repetitive process just to keep things running. One creates, the other maintains. Here's a perfect real-world example to make it stick. Think about a fast food restaurant. Serving customers, cleaning up every day, managing inventory, that's all routine. It's ongoing, it's repetitive. But what about launching a new menu item, like a new burger? That is a project. It's got a specific goal, a start, an end date, and you got to bring in marketing, the supply chain people, training, all of it. Same goes for renovating the dining area or installing a new point of sale system. See the difference? Okay, so we've pretty much nailed the technical definition. But there's a whole other layer to this, a side that people often overlook but is honestly absolutely critical for success. And that's the human element. This really challenges that old stereotype of a project manager. You know, the person who's just got a clipboard and a schedule. The reality is, projects are accomplished by people and for people, which means the social skills, that human element, are often way more important than the technical ones. So here's the crucial point. A project manager's real job is to be an information hub, a negotiator, a motivator. They have to build relationships and influence people from all these different departments with all their different priorities and get them all to pull in the same direction. That's a social skill, not a technical one. So why did we just spend all this time defining a single word? Well, because understanding this definition is the very first step to turning big, abstract goals into real, concrete actions. Let's dig into why this actually matters. If you look at it from a high level, This is how strategy actually happens. A big organization doesn't achieve its grand vision through routine work alone. No way. It implements its strategy through a portfolio of really carefully chosen projects, launching new products, entering new markets, or adopting new technologies. And this isn't just for big companies. This is for you. This is for all of us. Whether your goal is to get a certification, renovate your kitchen, or, plan that perfect picnic, framing it as a project gives you a roadmap. It forces you to define your objective, set a timeline, and figure out what you need. It turns a vague wish into an achievable goal. So I'll leave you with this thought. You now have the fundamental framework that was used to build the pyramids and put people on the moon. It's an incredibly powerful tool for turning ideas into reality. The only question left is, what great project will you start next?